This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not provided as financial, legal, or any other advice. The information is not investment advice or an offer to buy or sell any securities or make any investment. The views expressed by guest speakers are their own, and any reference to third-party products, services, or information does not constitute an endorsement thereof by SNN or its affiliates. SNN expressly disclaims all liability for any individual's use of the information presented in this podcast. My guest on the show today is Nathan Mazurek, Chairman and CEO of Pioneer Power Solutions, Inc. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is PPSI on NASDAQ. Pioneer Power Solutions, Inc. is a leader in the design, manufacture, integration, refurbishment, service, and distribution of electric power systems, distributed energy resources, power generation equipment, and mobile EV charging solutions for applications in the utility, industrial, and commercial markets, according to the company's website. I first met Nathan prior to our conference, Planet MicroCap Showcase Vegas in 2023. And since their presentation at the event, the company has announced numerous orders for their E-Boost and E-Bloc products. I invited Nathan on today to discuss the company's progress, as well as better understand the distributed generation and EV charging markets, E-Boost and E-Bloc product differentiation as compared to their peers, and Nathan's 3 to 5 year vision for the company. With that, please enjoy my conversation with Nathan Mazurek, Chairman and CEO of Pioneer Power Solutions. Nathan, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
Pleasure, Bobby. Great to see you again.
Great to see you too. So look, the reason I invited you on here today, and we're recording this on Wednesday, December 13th, 2023, is that, we first met prior to our conference in Vegas, presented in Vegas. I think you had a decent showing in Vegas.
Great. Recommend the conference. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. But since then, the company has really started to, in some ways, hit some of the inflection points that we talked about in that first interview. So, I wanted to bring you on to do a full encapsulation of everything going on at Pioneer, as well as what folks can expect or, obviously from what you can tell us. So to start us off, Nathan, this is a question I ask everybody on here is the first question. How would you describe Pioneer Power Solutions in one sentence?
Yeah, I mean, we're a designer manufacturer of specialty electrical equipment that is attacking the distributed generation and EV charging market.
Very good. So let's take a look back at Pioneer Power Solutions history. When was the company originally founded, and what was the original thesis for its founding?
Yeah, so I mean, we could go way back or whatever it is, but basically, Pioneer became a public entity in December of 2009 when we merged a liquid-filled transformer business, sort of a specialty transformer business that we had. That time we were doing about $40 million in revenue, super profitable business, no debt, merged that into a shell at that time, and that became the public entity. Went up that was 2009. I think it was 2011 when we uplisted onto the NASDAQ and been on the NASDAQ since. For the first several years of our life as a public company, we rolled up a bunch of other transformer businesses. That became the single largest piece of our business. Probably by 2019, when we sold the transformer business, we were over $100 million, most of that transformer related. Along the way, we had acquired a small switchgear builder in Los Angeles, not even acquired. We basically acquired a facility, built it from zero, built the business there from zero, and an engine generator service business based in Minneapolis. So when we sold the transformer business in 2019, we'd had, I would say, sort of an uneven run as a public company. We were more traditional manufacturer of industrial, electrical equipment, being measured sort of, we were growing with, GDP plus, that was sort of the profile, and felt that be better for us to redeploy cash in a different way. Sold the transformer business for $67 million, paid off whatever debt we had, paid taxes on the gains that we made, and we were left with these two small businesses. A little gear builder in Los Angeles that was doing about $8-9 million a year, and an engine generator service business doing about $8 million a year. Entertained all kinds of possibilities. EV manufacturers, energy storage, wanted to merge into us. We were super clean. We were on the NASDAQ. We had, more than $10 million of cash and two operating businesses. Instead of going that route, we decided to kind of invest in ourselves and what we saw happening in the market. And the first investments and the first moves paid off for us, are paying off, earlier and faster. And that's with the Los Angeles-based gear business. We had developed in conjunction with a couple of customers, developed a product which we then later branded as E-Bloc. Essentially, we integrated an automatic transfer switch, circuit protection, and controls into a compact outdoor package that acts as the basic traffic cop for any user using more than one source of power at the same time. So there's not a situation of backup power and moving, in case of a failure, but it's a user for 99% one or both reasons, or two reasons. Either they can't get enough power from the grid, or they expect not to be, they anticipate not being able to get enough power, or they want to save money by generating their own power in conjunction with a standard kind of a grid connection. And what started with very, very large users of power, oil refinery, chemical processing, and things like that, where the cost of the electricity is an important input into their cost of sales. Technology and the market kind of developed, and we developed with it, coming up with this much smaller profile type solution. And it became feasible to market this to retail, hospital. We'll go through the verticals. I don't think there's any vertical that we haven't touched at this point, because they want to supplement their power for either of the two reasons, or both, that I gave you earlier. That business, if you look at just the Los Angeles facility, you've still never stopped by, even though it's not a stone's throw from you. But we did 8.8 or something like that in 21. We did 18 million in 22. That's running to do about 35 million just out of that same building, same number of people. I mean, and it's all being driven by E-Bloc. At this point, we've touched data center, water utility, automotive, aerospace, almost any large commercial/industrial user of power is a target. We market the product directly. We market it through a lot of channel partners who are providing what the alternative source of power is. I would say probably in over 80% of the applications, the user is going to be using some form of natural gas engine, large reciprocating engine, to provide them supplemental power, but we've done it with fuel cells. Solar plus battery is becoming even more popular. We've done a few this year, and I expect that to be a big driver going into 2024. So that's the E-Bloc business. On the other side, we kind of came up with an entirely new business model there for the engine generator service business. In June of 2021, we came up with the idea for a mobile charging, a high capacity, high speed mobile charging business, which we branded E-Boost. We unveiled our first prototype in November of 2021, so exactly 2 years ago, or almost exactly 2 years ago. And that business did about $1 million its first year, first full year, which would be in 22. Did probably closer to 2 million this year, in a little bit more in 23, and we expected to do over $10 million next year. And what we expected, and what I expected it to do, and where it plays, probably didn't pan out in more than 50% of the cases. It's a much more robust, wider, intense market than I expected at all. We thought of it or I thought of it more in relation to passenger cars and dealer networks and gas stations and AAA, and it's been embraced as a solution of choice. The first big users were truck and bus manufacturers for their electric offerings, either directly or indirectly through their dealer networks, to improve their marketability and chances of moving their platform of buses or trucks. And that's where we are today, and there's no turning back.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you for that full overview. You hit on quite a few questions that I wanted to ask you, so you did my job for me. I appreciate it. But I guess my first follow-up would be, looking at the competitive landscape and the value proposition of PPSI solutions, what would you say makes your solutions unique and different compared to some of your peers that are also in the market?
Yeah, so I mean, they're different on both sides. On the E-Bloc side, what we did was really integrate something into a very small, more economical, smaller profile package that one could keep outdoors. So today you could go to any of the major electrical equipment manufacturers, Schneider, Siemens, whomever your favorite is, ABB. They could give you what I call a deconstructed type solution. They can give you an automatic transfer switch. I mean, you'd have to engineer and lay out what you want, give you the circuit protection, no question, do the controls. We're offering that all compacted into one physical unit. We're less expensive, takes up less room, and that's not even factoring in, the cost of installation. It's able to go outdoors. Nobody wrecks their inside or interior work and so forth. And at this point, I haven't counted, but we've probably done close to 1,000, if not more than 1,000 installations. And, the best advertisement is, no fail and no problems in the field. So, you could come up with anything you want. Now you got to make it work. These are all no fail type of situations. We cannot fail. The user is banking on using that power. They're banking on the controls doing their job. They're banking on the protection systems doing their job, and the transfer schemes. So that's what it is.
Gotcha. So let's also look at, I opened it up with saying, since we first talked earlier this year, the company's hit a couple of inflection points. I think the main notable one that if anybody pulled up your, Q3 2023 report is, profitability, right? For both the 3 months ended September 30th, as well as the 9 months ended compared to the previous year where you guys were operating at a loss. So can you go through some of the inflection point as to how you guys finally, turn the corner and now are profitable?
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. I mean, we're super proud of that. The goal is to be profitable and continue to be profitable and more profitable, every year. So, I mean, that's what we're doing. But yeah, I mean, part of it is scale. We were small. Part of it was the really acceleration of the E-Bloc product from a volume point of view. It's not a cookie cutter type product, but we really were able to, and we still continue, and we expect to continue in 24 as well, get tremendous operating leverage. We really didn't hire more, engineering, project management. We've had to upgrade personnel, but as far as number of humans, very little increase as we've almost, doubled, more than doubled, the overall business in the last 18 to 24 months. So we get the benefit of that. We were selling a lot of legacy type product, which was less profitable. We're pretty much focused on value add product, which is the E-Bloc product and its related product. Sometimes the user will ask us to do other things, but it's all related to the sale of the E-Bloc unit. So that's improved the margin picture dramatically. And, of course, experience is a great educator. So the more we do, the more efficient we become. So we're in an unbelievable position of sales accelerating. Our cost of sales is diminishing. So our margins are improving with this growth, and the profit continue. We expect the profit to grow. That's the mission.
Absolutely. So, focusing on, E-Bloc and E-Boost, it also seems that you've been finding more use cases for these different products. Where was that driven from? Or was the market coming to you and saying, hey, we could use this? Can you give us a
Right,
solution?
right. So and everybody asks, and I'm glad you raised it. So some of it was us, meaning we had our first success with retail. So that works. We see it's a compelling proposition. It started with supermarket and mass merchandiser, and they're a multi-location typically user, and this works great. So we tried to imitate it. Other uses, came either somebody saw something or somebody was connected to something. We got our first data center order. We got our first order from the California Department of Water Resources, which we disclosed, and so forth. And then we realized that what's going on with water utilities, the dynamic is the same as is going on with other users. They don't want to be grid bound. They want to supplement, even in the case of water utilities, manufacture all their power themselves if they can. And this product became part of what's helping them reach those goals. And when we learn from that, then we try to emulate, what about the other water utilities? There's a world beyond the California Department of Water Resources. There's a world beyond, the 7 supermarket chains that we've been dealing with and so forth. So it's been both. In the case of what I call solar microgrid, that was an example, admittedly, where the market came to us and I actually rejected them probably, 9 or 10 months ago. Same idea. There are large enterprises, national enterprises that basically go to your strip shopping centers anchored by, I don't know, 7-Eleven, Jersey Mike's, Chick-fil-A, choose your neighborhood and your locale. Going to them, here we can help you put some charging in the parking lot, and your supplemental power will be solar plus battery. Basically sort of a solar microgrid in conjunction with their utility feed and whatever business proposition they make with these people. Everybody's different. They came to us, can we have basically a stripped down E-Bloc, meaning what you're doing, is for huge loads. These are smaller loads, but the genetics are the same. And I kind of resisted that at the beginning because that would mean a way lower ticket price per unit. We'd done so much to kind of go upstream. This was kind of coming down. But these guys were very persistent. And we were able to, our team was able to come up with almost a standardized set of units for them that would meet our requirement from a gross margin point of view, meet their requirement to give them a value proposition that's economical for them. We also brought in one of the large multi-billion-dollar electrical distributors. They act in between us, so we're not taking any kind of credit risk. We're not handling the logistics to 40 different Chick-fil-A sites around the country, which was really have us add a lot of people for not a lot of value. So this is working out. We've gotten a significant amount of purchase orders from them already. Probably deliver the first ones in the first quarter of 2024, but we look for them to probably be in 24. 5 to 10% of the projected volume, which is a lot for us.
Absolutely. Another point that, in doing a little deep dive on PPSI is, looking in the presentation deck and seeing a couple boards that PPSI is being talked about. Let's clarify, you're not an EV play, right? Like should we, or do you want to be known as that, or you have EV? Let's clarify a little bit there, right? Because I'm sure that comes up sometimes.
It does come up, and you want me to be transparent, of course, which we always are. EV charging infrastructure, even on the E-Bloc side, is a big driver for us. There's no question.
Sure.
They're big users of supplemental power, primarily. The ones that we're having success with are those that are developing charging infrastructure specifically really for trucks, for the freight, whatever their particular model is. Is it a drayage model? Is it a certain corridor between ports and certain high volume metro areas, or whatever it is? They don't expect to get enough power, and they can't they can't take the risk of not being allocated enough power from whatever utility or utilities in most cases that they're dealing with across a large piece of geography. So they're putting in, most of them are putting in solar plus battery type as their supplement, not their backup. That's what they're going to do to supplement the power. Their business model is 24-hour days. People are trucking 24 hours a day. We're going to provide you power with no stress 24 hours a day. So that's definitely been a big driver. And frankly, on the truck and school bus side, we don't see any slippage in that demand. So that continues. These projects, we're loaded in 24, actually working on 25 with some of the large developers of this kind of stuff. So that's definitely a driver. Are we all EV? Probably 20% of what we're doing is EV related at this point. So it's definitely an important market for us.
All right, so I guess we'll put you on the EV panel in Vegas. All right, okay.
My pleasure.
That was why I was asking. Really, no.
Yeah, our pleasure. Now, on the e-boost side, it's all EV. We're charging. Right. It's a mobile charging system. Truth be told, it's a lot of trucks and buses, but as we've announced as well, VinFast was our first big passenger. That deal is over a year old. They've re-upped. Looking for more. So, that was a case I never could have foreseen, that a foreign manufacturer is going to be bringing in, that I could have foreseen, but that they're going to be bringing in electric vehicles and need very fast mobile charging at the point of entry into the United States. They're at the port of San Francisco, they're at the port of Long Beach. They need to be charged. The vehicles are coming in dead. They need to be driven to wherever it is that they want to drive them.
Absolutely. Very good. So another point, and apologies if I'm jumping around, but there's one thing that also came up that from the Q3 is the backlog. You mentioned that you announced this back on June 30th, 2023, about the backlog of 33.6 million, and that's effectively unchanged as of September 30th, 2023. Can you tell us a little bit more about the backlog, how the company recognizes revenue once some of these projects come online? Can you give us a little more color there?
Two different things. Backlog has always been consistent really since December of 2009. Maybe we should change it at some point, but it's backlog for us is anything that's got a non-cancelable purchase order that we expect to ship within 12 months. That's backlog to us. So if we book a job for the middle of 2025, even with a non-cancelable PO, we won't put it into the backlog. Typically, that's what's been going on. Pipeline's not backlog. Award is not backlog. I love you is not backlog. None of that is backlog. Non-cancelable purchase orders is how we operate. Otherwise, it's not a fair reflection. At least for the market, it's not a fair reflection. We expect that to continue to grow. It's a fairly good indicator of where we're going. If the backlog is going to slip a lot, anything can happen quarter to quarter. We're still small, but the trajectory, should continue to grow. I don't have any rules of thumb yet, because kind of the gestation period and I guess the cycle time of a lot of these jobs are a little bit different than when we were doing transformers all the time there. The rule of thumb used to be, double your backlog was going to be what your sales are going to be for the next 12 months. That's kind of not the case. Here's a little less than that. So, that's a long-winded answer. Revenue recognition is, we follow whatever GAAP and, SEC accounting, whatever is correct for revenue recognition. We don't have anything exotic or anything like that. We're receiving progress billings on large jobs, but we recognize the revenue in accordance with GAAP. You talked about EPS as well. The EPS, the positive EPS that we've been announcing, year to date, and the 10 cents that we announced in the third quarter. that's all GAAP EPS. That's not there's no adjusted EPS. We don't do adjusted EBITDA. We don't do any, financially, alchemy type numbers out there. This is what it is. If somebody wants to drill down as to what the real cash flow is, we're happy to help them determine that. But this is what we're about.
Very good. All right, so here's my favorite question that I love to ask everybody on here. And I think this is probably very appropriate for you guys because I'm sure you get so many folks, not so many, I don't want to say it like that, but maybe you get a few folks that are like, all right, I heard Nathan's presentation. Okay, maybe I heard his conversation here with me today. What does Pioneer do? Or what's going on here? Right. So I'd love to ask, when after the presentation, doing a one-on-one with you and kind of doing a little bit more of a deep dive, what do investors still get most confused about with Pioneer Power Solutions? Or maybe we can address some of those frequently asked questions here.
Yeah, the most confused, and I'll take all the blame. I probably don't
No,
message
you've been doing a good job, but it's
or drone on or don't get to the point, quick enough.
No.
Everybody understands the E-Boost business. That's mobile charging. Whatever it is, whatever you think it's going to be. It's when your Tesla, runs out of juice and you're stuck, or it's the school bus, or it's rescue, or it's this, or it's even off-road type infrastructure, ground service equipment at airports, or watercraft that's going electric. Everybody needs mobile charging that they can either understand more or less and ask, reasonable questions. On the other side, it's really distributed generation. It's somebody that's wants to generate their own power to some extent. As soon as you want to actually in parallel, coterminous with your main feed, which is 99% of the time some sort of utility feed that the user is getting, that's where E-Bloc comes to be helpful. If you're building a new, you could be building a new factory, with a huge electrical load. If you're going to just rely on the grid system, there's very little value for us to add. Can we give you straight up circuit protection equipment? Sure. So can Schneider, so can Eaton. Hopefully more cheaply and with, better looking personnel than we have. So, enjoy it, and so forth. This is for the user that's looking or concerned about their own power needs. They're going to generate their own power with a natural gas engine, with batteries. We've done, fuel cells. We've done 3 different sources for particular users. They'll want batteries when the load interruption or the frequency change is small, and then they'll have their natural gas generator in when they think that there's a more sustained window for them to benefit or that they're concerned about. That's where E-Bloc is. The E-Bloc product doesn't generate any electricity. It transfers, controls, and protects. That's all it does.
Very good. So, other than, let's just say, execution risk, because that's a no-brainer, obviously everybody, that is the number one risk for every single company that I have
every day for us.
Yeah. Right. For me too.
For you too. Right. All of them.
I got to do a good interview. I want people to come back.
Right.
But, in your opinion, what would you say are some of the company's downside risks outside of execution risk, of course?
Our biggest competitor is a customer or an industry, ability to do nothing. You don't have to. You could just rely on the grid. You don't have to have a mobile charging system. You can just wait for whatever fixed solution you think is going to come. So that's our downside. Our downside is somebody doing nothing. I don't want to say there are no solutions that compare to us. We don't have a head-to-head problem with solutions on either side of the business. On E-Boost, we're the only one out there. This is a mobile solution of any type you want, the only high speed. Are there people doing battery type solutions? Yeah, we'll do the same too. We'll unveil one hopefully in the first quarter as well. But that's for a very specific use and user. It's a lot more money, it's a lot less power, and it's got to be plugged in, 50% of the time somehow. You got to recharge it somehow. We're generating so we don't really have we compete with the ability of the user to really just wait.
Very good. And just curious, just to clearly address that risk as well, just taking it a step further, why would a company just be like, all right, we'll work off the grid right now when, you're coming in with the clear value prop for why they shouldn't be, but why would they say no during that time period?
Yeah, either it's they don't want to take the capital risk, they don't want to spend the money. I mean, we don't work for free. Even if somebody's in between us, somebody's even leasing it or whatever, somebody else is financing it for the particular user. You have to be convinced that this is a long-term thing that you want to do is going to benefit your business. Otherwise, you're either taking on a liability or spending actual cash up front for a proposition. Well, you can always make the argument to wait. Let's wait.
Right.
What's going to come out? And I can't fight that.
Absolutely. How do you stay ahead? When it comes to, I mean, this is actually more. I'll ask it like this. What would you say is the company's strategy to maintain profitability while still focused on growth? And within that, it seems that the company has to make sure you're always reinvesting in R&D to make sure you are staying ahead of the curve to help those that are will wait for something better. But we're already invented it. That kind of idea.
Right.
So like to hear your thoughts there.
I mean, we try to create direct culture, starting with me and the senior team. We live in a nonstop state of paranoia all the time that we're missing a window, we missed an opportunity, we didn't address something properly. We think through, we argue about things internally too. Some things, are solutions that would distract us, waste money, or at least we perceive it wouldn't be the best use of people's human capital, actual money and things like that. So these are the normal business things that we all, have to decide, what to spend our time and efforts on. If there was a hydrogen solution that could be competitive or even close to competitive with what we do on the E-Boost side, we'd be doing it. We're adaptable, we're agnostic, but the user, you talk about sticker shock, it would be sticker coma that they wouldn't come out of. I mean, it would just, it won't help adoption if the price is so high. Same on the E-Bloc side, we try to not just have the best solution and adapt, with the best components, but keep it as competitive as we can. Otherwise, we'll win a few, but adoption will slow.
Right. All right. Well, Nathan, it's my final question for you. You answered everything. You kind of gave a full overview, the risk, all that. So, from what you can tell us, where would you like to see the company in 3 to 5 years? And what would you say are the inflection points that'll get you there?
Yeah, I think, every year has been, if we take big blocks, every year has been a big inflection point. This year has been the year where the E-Bloc solution really found itself, both in terms of acceptability and as far as volume, and that's feeding on itself. So that was a big inflection point. Next year is the big inflection point for E-Boost. Where's this platform going? We expect it to have a monster year. Big revenue is not enough. It's got to become the answer for mobile charging. We don't see that market stopping. When we first came out with, everybody said, oh, in 5 years, everybody will have fixed infrastructure. I don't see it for 10 years. And then we have to be ahead of it there too. What can we do? The same way we keep adapting the E-Boost genetics, to solar microgrid, to this, what's going on, where is a user? We got to do the same thing on the E-Boost side. What's next? Maybe you want to do it in your house. Maybe you want to generate maybe you want to charge, you want to be able to run a natural gas engine 24 hours a day in your house because it's cheaper, safer, whatever it is. We need to be there.
All right. Well, Nathan, we're there, man. So with that, okay, where would you like our audience to go and find out more information on Pioneer Power Solutions?
You can go to our website. You can go to our investor relations people at Hayden IR, to Brett Moss and his team, myself directly, our CFO, Walter Mahalik. We're always available. Or they could come meet with us in person and at Planet Micro in May. Is it going to be in 2024?
April 30th through May 2nd. That's right.
Okay, there you go. So, yeah.
Very good. And that's pioneerpowersolutions.com. Nathan, thank you so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it. Good luck. Bobby. Stay safe.
And you too. Have a great holiday.
You too, man. Look forward to our next update. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not provided as financial, legal, or any other advice. The information is not investment advice or an offer to buy or sell any securities or make any investment. The views expressed by guest speakers are their own, and any reference to third-party products, services, or information does not constitute an endorsement thereof by SNN or its affiliates. SNN expressly disclaims all liability for any individual's use of the information presented in this podcast.